Hello everyone. So on behalf of Chetan Bharat Learning, I am Dr. Vikas Kumar, and once again I welcome everybody to this session on CLAT English. So as you know that in this series of lectures, we have been discussing reading comprehension. We have been providing new messages to you to practice, and we've been discussing certain questions, their answers, the logic, the reasoning, the rationale that we have applied. So in the process, we are going to continue to have 3 more passages today. Fine. Let's begin with the first one. Well, it is difficult to compare countries because various factors such as size, culture, history, geography, natural endowments, geopolitics and internal polity come into play. So compare करना बहुत मुश्किल है क्योंकि सारे जो countries हैं, they have their own specific features. There are some goals which can be achieved by smaller countries, but sometimes smaller countries find it difficult to embark upon rather certain big technological plans, even if they have the funds, because the size of the domestic market is too small. So ये कह रहे हैं कि कुछ ऐसे achievements हो सकते हैं जो small countries की in particular हों, but उन्हीं countries को जब कुछ बड़ा करने को होता है, कुछ और करने को होता है, तो they fail. क्योंकि उनका जो size of the market है, that is pretty small. That is why he says that we cannot compare the countries because they have their own intricacies. If we consider the bigger countries, the closest comparison to India absolutely is China, no doubt. हालांकि there are many crucial differences, true. The Chinese vision is to prepare the country for entry into the ranks of mid-level developed nations by the middle of the 21st century. Acceleration of the 2050 तक. Acceleration of the nation's economic growth and social development by relying on advances in science and technology is pivotal in this. China, may we all know that technology is doing very well. Technologically, they're pretty advanced. और इसी वजह से वो कई कंट्रीज से आगे भी निकल गए हैं. डॉक्यूमेंट्स डिस्क्राइबिंग द चाइनीज विजन स्टेट क्या बताते हैं वो कि साइंस और टेक्नोलॉजी कॉन्स्टिट्यूट प्रीमियर प्रोडक्टिव फोर्सेस. इसी के बेसिस पे वो आगे बढ़े हैं. प्रीमियर प्रोडक्टिव फोर्सेस एंड रिप्रेजेंट अ ग्रेट रेवोल्यूशनरी पावर. वेल दैट कैन प्रोपेल, एक्सेलरेट कर सकता है वो इकोनॉमिक एंड सोशल डेवलपमेंट को. ये भी इंटरेस्टिंग है टू नोट जो मेन लेसन्स द चाइनीज हैव ड्रॉन फ्रॉम देयर पास्ट परफॉर्मेंस. क्या सीखा है उन्होंने? इज देयर फेलियर टू प्रमोट साइंस एंड टेक्नोलॉजी एज स्ट्रेटेजिक टूल्स ऑफ एम्पावरमेंट. इसीलिए नाउ दे रियलाइज द इंपॉर्टेंस ऑफ साइंस एंड टेक्नोलॉजी. दे ऑल्सो पॉइंट टू द एब्सेंस ऑफ मैकेनिज्म्स एंड मोटिवेशंस इन देयर इकोनॉमिक एक्टिविटी to promote dependence on science and technology. Similarly, excuse me, ये मानते हैं that their scientific and technological efforts were not oriented towards economic growth. मतलब, the efforts were there, but there was some problem. The problem was that those efforts were not directed in, or rather towards economic growth. And that has been a problem. Consequently, they conclude, we मानते हैं that a large number of scientific and technological achievements were not converted, जो हो सकता था, not converted into productive forces, as they were too far removed from China's immediate economic and social needs. So जो economic plans में, scheme of things में, science and technology could not be inculcated, then obviously China could not make full use of these for economic growth. Now the Chinese version is therefore aimed at exploiting what? State of art science and technology. Obviously they want to use their science and technology to enhance the nation's overall power and strength, to improve the living standards of people, to focus on resolving problems encountered in large-scale industrial and agricultural production. Absolutely right. to effectively control and alleviate pressures. Alleviate कोई बुरी चीज का impact कम करना. Pressures brought on by population. So अगर इकोनॉमिक ग्रोथ बहुत हाई हो गया, पैसा बहुत आ गया कंट्री के पास, तो नेचुरली रिसोर्सेज बढ़ जाएंगे और पॉपुलेशन, ओवर पॉपुलेशन का जो खतरा है, उसके जो इम्पैक्ट है वो कम हो जाएगा. Resources and the environment. Now, by the year 2000, China had aimed at bringing the main industrial sectors up to the technological levels achieved by the developed countries in the 1970s or 80s. And by 20, to the level they would have attained by the early 21st century. ये वो जो plans रखते हैं. The aim is to क्या? Bridge the overall gap with the advanced world. Bridge मतलब gap कम कर देना, advanced world के आसपास ही पहुंच जाना, right? So gap कम होना चाहिए चाइना में और advanced world में. There is a special emphasis on research. बहुत emphasis है research पर और development of high technologies जो that would find defense applications. और वैसे अगर बात करें तो चाइना की जो military strength है या जो forces जो उनके हैं, वो भी अब टेक्नोलॉजी को काफी इस्तेमाल करती हैं. Some of these technologies are critical for improving the features of key conventional weapons, जिसकी हम बात करें. Some technologies are meant for enhancing future military capabilities. Other efforts are aimed at maintaining the momentum to develop capabilities for cutting-edge defense technology. So, defense में भी they are trying to incorporate all this science and technology. They call for unremitting efforts in this regard with the aim of maintaining effective self-defense excuse me, and nuclear deterrent capabilities and to enable parity in defense. तो एक तरह से वो साइंस एंड टेक्नोलॉजी को हर स्फेयर में यूज करना चाहते हैं ताकि वो बहुत मजबूत हो जाए. Comparison between two countries becomes difficult because the countries differ in their internal political systems. ये तो कहा है उन्होंने. Okay. Each country has its own demography. ये भी कहा है. The countries with homogeneous backgrounds are many in number. ये नहीं कहा है. So 1 and 2 होना चाहिए. Option C. Pretty easy. What is the goal of China to be accomplished by the middle of 21st century? Middle. चलिए वापस चलते हैं. ये देखिए, middle of the 21st century. Mid-level developed nations. To become one of the most developed nations? No. To surpass the level of all the middle-level developed? No. Not to surpass. To be the most influential superpower? No. Therefore, D. क्योंकि आंसर तो कुछ और है. What, according to the Chinese vision, can boost socio-economic development of China? Research and development? No. पूरे पैराग्राफ में साइंस एंड टेक्नोलॉजी की ही बात हुई है. Which of the following fields has particularly been valued by China? Building high quality infrastructure? No, not at all. Innovation? These two have not been discussed. This was discussed. Defense applications based on high technologies. Which of the following can have the Chinese identified as the pitfalls, danger or dangers from their past? Lack of orientation, science and technology towards economic growth. ये mentioned है, एक जगह mentioned है कि oriented नहीं था towards economic growth, इसीलिए China could not have the optimum benefit, could not reap the optimum benefit. Lack of mechanism in their economic activities to promote, yes. Mentioned. Excessive emphasis, no. They want a lot of emphasis. ये तो कहीं भी mention नहीं था. Therefore, option D. Right, that takes us to the next passage. Considered among the greatest works of Western literature, so this passage is about literature. Very interesting. The Iliad, paired with its sequel, the Odyssey, is attributed to Homer. Homer ने लिखे, ऐसा माना जाता है. However, that the author of Iliad was not the same as the compiler of the fantastic tales in the Odyssey is arguable on several scores. Iliad के जो author है ना, उनको लेकर एक controversy, एक discrepancy, एक debate, contention, argument है. द टू एपिक्स, दोनों एपिक्स हैं, ओडिसी और इलियड. कोई कहता है दोनों होमर ने लिखे हैं, कोई कहता नहीं लिखे हैं. The two epics belong to different literary types. Iliad essentially dramatic है in its confrontation of opposing warriors. It is about warriors, right? जिनकी लड़ाई है, उन्हीं के traits, उन्हीं की development क्या होता है स्टोरी में, who converse like the actors, जैसे कि epic tragedy में होते थे. On the other hand, ओडिसी जो है ना, ये बनाया ही एक नॉवल की तरह है. नरेटेड इन मोर एवरीडे ह्यूमन स्पीच. नॉवल में एवरीडे ह्यूमन स्पीच ही तो इस्तेमाल होती है. प्लेज की जो लैंग्वेज होती है ना, वो हायर होती है, ग्रैंड होती है. इन द फिजिकल स्ट्रक्चर ऑल्सो द टू एपिक्स डिस्प्ले एन इक्वली प्रोनाउंस्ड डिफरेंस. काफी फर्क है दोनों में और वो नजर आता है. ओडिसी इज कंपोज्ड इन 6 डिस्टिंक्ट कैंटस of 4 chapters, 4 chapters each, whereas Iliad moves unbrokenly forward with only one irrelevant episode in its tightly woven plot. Unbrokenly चलता है ज़्यादा. अब readers who examine psychological nuances, details, see in the two works some distinctly different ह्यूमन रिस्पॉन्सेज. कुछ ह्यूमन रिस्पॉन्सेज और एटीट्यूड्स उनमें डिफरेंट नजर आते हैं. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, इलियड जो है ना, वो क्या वॉइस करता है? एडमिरेशन फॉर द ब्यूटी एंड स्पीड ऑफ हॉर्सेस. जबकि ओडिसी जो है, वो कोई इंटरेस्ट नहीं दिखाता एनिमल्स में. इलियड डिसमिस करता है डॉग्स को एज मियर स्कैवेंजर्स. स्कैवेंजर्स होते हैं जो पुराने जो जानवर मर गए हैं, उनके जो बॉडीज को खा के साफ कर देंगे बस. While the poet of the Odyssey reveals a modern sentimental rather sympathy for Odysseus' faithful old hound Argos. कितना contrast है दोनों में. But the most cogent argument for separating the two poems by assigning them to different authors is the archaeological Purani criterion of implied chronology. पहले क्या हुआ? In the Iliad, the Phoenicians are praised as skilled craftsmen working in metal and weavers of elaborate garments. ये Iliad की बात कर रहे हैं. The shield, जिसमें के which the metal working god, ये गॉड्स भी हैं इसमें, डेटीज बहुत हैं, ग्रीक गॉड्स, ग्रीक मिथ पर बेस्ड है ना. सो फॉर्जेस फॉर एशिलिस इन द इलियड. ऐसा लगता है कि ये इंस्पायर्ड है बाय द मेटल बाउल्स विद इनलेड फिगर्स इन एक्शन मेड बाय द Phoenicians and introduced by them into Greek and Etruscan commerce. 8th सेंचुरी की बात कर रहे हैं. तो वो कह रहे हैं कि उस वक्त के वक्त से मिलता जुलता था जो इलियड का रिप्रेजेंटेशन था. उसके उल्टा ओडिसी में क्या था? इन द ओडिसी, ग्रीक सेंटिमेंट टुवर्ड्स द फिनिशियंस हैज अंडरगॉन अ ड्रास्टिक चेंज. ओडिसी में डिफरेंट था. हालांकि दे आर स्टिल रिगार्डेड एज क्लेवर क्राफ्ट्समैन इन प्लेस ऑफ द इलियड्स लॉडेटरी. लॉडेटरी मींस जो तारीफ करे. पॉलीडाइडेलोई, manifold skills, somebody who can do lots of things. The epithet is parodied into polypipaloi, of manifold scurvy tricksters, which is a negative term. This reflects the competitive penetration into Greek commerce. The tricksters, Greek commerce by traders from Phoenician Carthage in the 7th century BC. एक चीज, however, clear है. Both epics were created without recourse to writing. So दोनों without recourse to writing ही लिखे गए हैं. अब between the decline of Mycenaean and the emergence of classical Greek civilization, which is believed from the late 12th to the mid-8th century, जो inhabitants थे ना of the Greek lands, they had lost all knowledge. उनके पास सिलेबल रहे नहीं थे, तब वो तभी तो कह रहे हैं कि बिना राइटिंग के, बिना सिलेबल्स के, राइट? और जो इनके forebears थे and had not yet acquired from the easternmost shore of the Mediterranean that familiarity with Phoenician alphabetic writing from which classical Greek literacy derived, जिससे वो derive हुआ था. Same conclusion of illiterate composition may be reached from a critical inspection of the poems themselves. बहुत सारे रेसेस में से and in many different periods, अलग अलग periods में भी there has existed क्या, एक form of purely oral and unwritten poetic speech. मेरी और आपकी लाइफ्स में भी अनरिटन कहानियां बहुत सुनी होंगी आपने, जो कपलेट्स बन गए, कहानियां बन गई, राइट? डिस्टिंग्विशेबल फ्रॉम नॉर्मल एंड प्रिंटेड लिटरेचर, जिसको नॉर्मल प्रिंटेड लिटरेचर से आप अलग कर सकते हैं, वैसे ही नजर आता है ये, by special traits that are readily recognizable and specifically distinctive. To this class, जो Homeric epics हैं वो confirm करते हैं कि हाँ ये हैं, दोनों में ये traits हैं. Hence, it would seem an inevitable होगा ही जो inference that they must have been created either before the end of the 8th century BC or so shortly after the date that the use of alphabetic writing had not been yet developed sufficiently to record lengthy compositions. तो या तो इस वक्त के करीब करीब या फिर कब, shortly after the date the use of alphabetic writing had not yet been developed sufficiently. It is this illiterate, बिना लिखा पढ़ी के environment जो explain करता है absence of all contemporary historical record. उस वक्त का record नहीं है ना, authors of the two great epics. It is probable that Homer's name was applied to two distinct individuals. ये possible है कि होमर का नाम अप्लाई कर दिया हो to दो अलग अलग लोग जिन्होंने ये प्रोड्यूस किया है, differing in temperament and artistic accomplishment, born perhaps as much, शायद अलग centuries में पैदा हुए हैं वो दोनों लोग, और practicing the same traditional craft of oral composition. So ये orally आया है, उसके बाद पेन डाउन किया गया होगा इसे, और दो अलग अलग लोगों ने ये कहानी सुनाई होगी, इलियाड और ओडिसी, जिनको हम एक ही ऑथर के दो क्रिएशंस मानते हैं. Although each became known as Homer, it may be Homerus was a dialectical word for a blind man. भी सो बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग कहानी है. And so came to be used generically of the old, ये तो फिर वर्ड ही यूज होने लगा था ओल्ड लोगों के लिए, एंड ऑफ्टन साइटलेस, वॉन्डरिंग रिसाइटर्स ऑफ हीरोइक लेजेंड्स. होमेरिक बोलने लगे थे लोगों को इन द ट्रेडिशनल मीटर ऑफ अनराइम्ड डेक्टाइलिक हेक्सामीटर्स. इसलिए देयर कुड हैव बीन मेनी होमर्स, तो बहुत सारे हैं. फिर ये डेक्टाइलिक हेक्सामीटर एक फिगर ऑफ स्पीच है, फिगर ऑफ स्पीच तो नहीं है एक्चुअली, ये राइटिंग स्टाइल है. सो इसमें तो बहुत सारे लोग बोल सकते हैं कहानी, राइट? The two epics ascribed to Homer, however, have been as highly prized, bilkul, in the modern as in ancient times for their marvelous vividness of expression. आज भी these are taught in the syllabus for rather syllabi of various universities, and these are considered as two of the very best literary creations of all times. Their keenness of personal characterization, their unflagging interest. Yes, absolutely correct. Find the first question. Which of the following, which of the following cannot be reasonably inferred from the passage? Not be. Before the 12th century BC, the use of syllabic writing existed. This can be inferred, so this is not the answer. Phoenician traders flourished in Greece. Yes. It can also be inferred, right? Greek, Roman, and modern European literacy can be traced back to the Phoenicians, absolutely. Are purely oral poetic speech set to rhyme? No, these are not set to rhyme. Iliad and Odyssey are not set to rhyme. So this is the correct answer. It cannot be inferred. Which of the following can be characterized as the main idea of the passage? There could have been many humors. This is only a passing reference. Attributing the composition of the Iliad and Odyssey to... Yes, it is erroneous. It is wrong. Iliad and Odyssey have been written by different people according to the passage. The term epithet has rather as used in the passage is farthest in the meaning. Sabse dur. So it is sobriquet, nickname, moniker. All these mean nicknames. So jargon is the correct answer. Jargon is a technical word. Right, let's discuss the next passage. The first systems of writing developed and used by the Germanic peoples were runic alphabets. ये peoples क्यों है? Peoples इसलिए है क्योंकि people, जब सब divided peoples की हम बात करते हैं या specific people की बात करते हैं, we call it peoples. Like the people who came to watch the match included peoples from India, peoples from Pakistan and peoples from Australia. Like that. समझ गया? लोगों के specific लोगों को, लोगों में जो specific लोग हैं, groups, उनको peoples कहते हैं. So the runes functioned as letters, but they were much more than just letters. क्यों? Because in which we today understand the term, each rune was an ideographic symbol था वो, pictographic symbol था of some cosmological principle or power. And to write a rune was to invoke and direct the force for which it stood. हालांकि हर Germanic language में the word rune means both letter and secret. So hidden power, cosmic, right? Or mystery. And its original meaning, which likely predated the adoption of the runic alphabet, may have been simply message. Hush. चलिए, हर रून का एक नाम था जो हिंट करता था एट द फिलोसॉफिकल एंड मैजिकल सिग्निफिकेंस. तो वर्ड्स में देखिए, रून्स वर्ड्स भी थे और कॉस्मिक आसमान से रिलेटेड कुछ थे, मिस्ट्रिकल भी थे, वो हिडन भी थे. दे हैड देयर ओन मैजिकल सिग्निफिकेंस of its usual form and the sound for which it stands, which was almost always the first sound of the rune's name. For example, T rune called Tevaz. जो T rune है letter, वो Tevaz में पहला है, right? The Proto-Germanic language, ये एक god का नाम है. ये देखिए, इस तरह से उनके runes थे. So जो letters है ना, उनके अपने गॉड के साथ उसका डेटीज के साथ कनेक्शन है. Tevaz was perceived to dwell within the daytime sky and accordingly the visual form of the T rune is an arrow ऊपर की तरफ जो पॉइंट कर रहा है, right? The T rune अक्सर कार्व किया जाता था as a standalone ideograph apart from the writing of any particular word as part of spells cast to ensure victory in battle. अब जो रूनिक अल्फाबेट्स थे, these are called futharks after the first 6 runes. ये उनके नाम है. In much the same way that the word alphabet comes from the names of the first 2 letters. Now there are 3 principal futharks. ये जो टर्म इन्होंने दिया है, I can understand. एक पैसेज आ गया लिटरेचर पर, राइट? एक और पैसेज आ गया जो जर्मन टर्म्स पर है. हमारे लिए ना देना कुछ है नहीं इससे. बट isn't it true that when you go to take the exam, आपको कोई भी पैसेज आ सकता है ना? I can understand. This is quite a task. But यही हमारा टास्क है. This is the aim. We want to give you a taste of virtually all kinds of passages. इसीलिए आपने पैसेजेस में वैरायटी देखी होगी. इकोनॉमिक्स भी है, सोशियो पॉलिटिकल टॉपिक्स पर भी we have discussed. राइट, लिटरेचर पर भी. वी डोंट नो किस एरिया से पैसेज आएगा. ओके, सो प्लीज पे अटेंशन. चलिए, सो 24 कैरेक्टर एल्डर फुथर्क, फर्स्ट फुली फॉर्म्ड रूनिक अल्फाबेट whose development had begun by the 1st century CE and had been completed before the year this much. So the 16 character younger futhark एल्डर की बात की 24 कैरेक्टर, अब 16 वाले की बात करते हैं, which began to diverge from the elder Futak around the beginning of this, or eventually replaced that older alphabet in Scandinavia and the 33rd character Anglo-Saxon Futak, जो कि gradually alter हो गया and added to the elder Futak in England. Scandinavian language अलग थी, इंग्लैंड की अलग थी, बाद में तो मिक्स ही हो गई. On some inscriptions, 24 runes of the elder Futak were divided into 3 atir, right? Families भी कहते हैं, of 8 runes each, but the significance of this division is unfortunately not known. अब runes जो थे वो traditionally carved थे पत्थरों पर, wood, bone, metal, or some similarly hard surface rather than drawn with ink and pen on parchment. ये explain करता है their sharp angular form. तभी तो पत्थर पे आ गए वो. Sharp angular form which was well suited to the medium. हमारी जो current knowledge है, much of it, of the meanings the ancient Germanic peoples attributed to the runes, which comes from the 3 rune poems, जिसमें काफी कुछ explained है about runes also. Documents from Iceland, Norway, and England that provide a short stanza about each rune in their respective futharks. So जब futharks के बारे में detailed information आ गई तो runes के बारे में भी आ ही जाएगी. While runologists argue करते हैं over many of the details of the historical origins of runic writing, एक widespread agreement है on a general outline. Runes are presumed to have been derived, कहां से? From one of the many old italic alphabets in use among the Mediterranean peoples of the 1st century CE, who lived to the south of the Germanic tribes. Earlier Germanic sacred symbols, जो sacred माने जाते थे, holy, pure, pious, such as those preserved in northern European petroglyphs, were also likely influential. उनका भी हाथ था development of the script में. Earliest possibly runic inscription कहाँ मिलती है? यहाँ पे मेल्डफ ब्रूच, जो कि मैन्युफैक्चर किया गया था in the north of modern day Germany around this. इंस्क्रिप्शन काफी एम्बिगुअस है, मतलब समझ नहीं आती, उसके कई मीनिंग्स हो सकते हैं. However, scholars are divided over whether its letters are runic or Roman. उस पर भी डिवीजन है, कोई लोग कहते हैं ये रूनिक है, कोई लोग कहते हैं रोमन. जो अर्लीस्ट अनएम्बिगुअस यानी क्लियर अंडरस्टैंडेबल जो था रूनिक इंस्क्रिप्शंस है, वो मिलते हैं आपको यहाँ पे डेनमार्क में. एंड दी Overstable spearhead from southern Norway. अब इनका जो ये एक अप्रोक्सीमेट डेट भी दिया है, करीब करीब ये इनकी कार्विंग हुई. Earliest known carving of the entire futhark is that on the Kilver stone. ये तो runic carving थी, ये पूरे futhark की है. Roughly ये डेट है इसकी. A transmission of writing from southern Europe to northern Europe likely took place via Germanic warbands, the dominant northern European military institution of the period, who would have encountered italic firsthand during campaigns amongst their southerly neighbors. First one, which of the following statements is incorrect? The word rune and its meaning was derived from the runic alphabet. ये गलत है, बाकी सब सही है. Right. Next one. Which of the following can be inferred from the passage? Runic script was most likely derived from old italic script. ये तो कहा है उन्होंने directly. 2. Runes were not used so much as simple writing system, but rather magical signs. No. सिर्फ वो simple writing systems की तरह भी यूज किए जाते थे, दोनों यूसेज थे. In the Proto-Germanic period, the god Tivas, yes, was associated with war. Absolutely, directly stated है. First और third तो हो गए. The knowledge of the meanings attributed to the runes of the younger Futark is derived from the 3 rune poems? Not at all. Which of the following cannot be reasonably inferred with regard to the beliefs of the Proto-Germanic people? Odin came upon the runes after going through a lot of torment. Not mentioned. In fact, mentioned. So, we have a hint about this. The name of a rune was almost always the first sound. Yes, here we go. It was not almost always the first sound. It was something cosmic, not necessarily the name of a god. There are many things related to the cosmos. So, ये correct answer हुआ. This is mentioned. This is also mentioned. Fine. So that brings us to an end to this session. I hope you've been able to understand all the questions and answers and passages. So ये थोड़ी सी variety है. I know it's a little कड़वी दवाई, लेकिन हमें पीना जरूरी है. क्या करें, है ना? अगर development चाहिए, पूरा development चाहिए, पूरा knowledge चाहिए. So there has to be variety in what we teach you, right? And what you practice. Take care. Bye bye.